AutoCAD. Okay, we're going to create, well, look at some of the 3D solid commands. So we're going to pop into AutoCAD for a few minutes and sort that out. So it does say we should start off with a special template. So when you go open up AutoCAD, it just gives you just a 2D template. But we're going to use the file new. We're going to use a special one, which is the ISO 3D, which is the metric 3D template. So I open that up. It just looks a little bit different, really. In fact, I could have done the same thing with the other one. If I click over here, if I use the middle mouse button and hold that down, and the shift key, I can actually twist this plane so it looks a bit like the other one. So no real rocket science or magic in what I've just opened up. It's just that the one that just opened up had already that set up. So that template happens to be already like that for us. Okay, so here we are. Having the template is great, but having the 3D commands is another issue. Now, your AutoCAD, by the way, will not look like that probably, because the first time you went into it, yours will look more like without any of these things. All right, so I would turn those off, and I'll show you how to get to, bring those up. So under the View tab, we go to Toolbars and AutoCAD. And what I had was a drawer there, which is a basic sort of tools. Yours should land on the side immediately. Mine didn't because I moved it out to close it. But if you drag it and drop it there, it should just do it if your computer could handle it. All right, so once I've got the first one there, I can just right-click and where are we? If I right-click, it gives us a list of these things here, and we can bring up the modify. And again, I'll just drag that across here. There it goes. The other one we want to right-click is Object Snaps, and that can be dragged over here as well. Okay, so if you're using 3D, there's a number of ways you can bring up 3D commands, and one way is to bring up a few more, or display a few more toolbars that relate to 3D, and one of them is the modeling, wherever that is, modeling. That will give us quite a few of the commands that we're going to use here today. And the other way will be to change this up here so that it's actually 3D modeling toolbars or ribbon. So if I did that, it will actually just undo what I just did before, and it will just give me just those alone. So it means I haven't got my object snaps now and that sort of stuff. So I have to go through the whole thing again and bring those up again. All right. So, but at the end of the day, all the commands we need are here. So once you set these things up, it's probably advisable to go down here and save your workspace. And you can have a workspace that you like for 3D and one for 2D, with just the stuff that you want to have. For example, I'll run through that again, and you can open up, I think under View, Toolbars, AutoCAD, Draw, and I'll bring up the Modify, I'll bring up the Modeling, and I'll bring up the OSnap, Object Snap here. So I can, sorry, move this around a bit, and that one up. Oops. Maybe, whatever, that's close enough. And here's some other commands here. I can maybe drop them over this side, even it out a bit. So now I've got that there. I might like that, so I'll go here and I'll go Save Current As, and I'll call it anything. So I'll call it AV 3D. So it's just my 3D, and save that. And then I could have another one for 2D, but I'll just go on with this now. And all this stuff can also be exported out to your A360, which is your cloud. That's another thing that it does for you, your cloud. And you move computer from computer, it will remember your settings next time. So that's the idea. I haven't tested it out. Anyhow, let's go on and look at some of these commands we're talking about. So One of the commands is the box command. Okay, here's the box command over here. And if I go to home over here, here's the box command. If I click down here, there's a few others you can use as well. Extrude, you can do lofting. And you can see that some of these things here are, there already. I quite like the toolbars in the way that everything's there in front of you rather than having to expand things out and find bits that are missing. It's like little pop-up books, trying to find what's behind something else. But anyhow, here's the box command. Alright, so let's have a look. If I click it, which I did, it takes a little while I thought I did. There you go, it woke up eventually. Here's the box command. Down here in the command line, it's telling us specify the first corner. And of course, if I was doing something that was of a particular size that I want to know, that I want to build, I will just type in that size. So let's just see. If I begin somewhere, I can maybe draw along the X. From there, I'm going to go @ sign. I want to draw something like maybe 6,000 long by 300 wide, right, a wall almost. And it's asking me now how high do I want it to be. Let's make it 2,700 high. So you could do that by numbers if you know something exact, or I could have just done it by dragging and pulling and just drawing something arbitrary. All right, so once I got that, I hold the Shift key down. Once it wakes up, there you go. Eventually do it. Shift key, middle mouse button. I can move around this and just look at it from a different angle. Okay, so there it is. Beautiful, love it. Okay, so we've got our little wall here. What's the other thing that I've done down here that I didn't actually mention earlier? As you can see down the bottom in my status bar, I've got the names rather than the icons. The way I've done that is by right-clicking here and taking the tick off where it says use icons. If I put it back on, I get what you might have now. But if you right-click on any of them, they all have that option. It's just some have more information above that. Take off the tick and you get the just the English words there. What's important when you're dealing with 3D, or most of the time is important, is to have this dynamic UCS turned on, and I'll show you what that does. For example, if I want to draw a standard, just a circle, say, on that surface, I won't normally be able to do it. My X and my Y are along the flat, on the black plane. So the circle normally, if I had that off, for example, and I try and draw a circle on here, it draws a circle like that. All right, so there's a circle there. It's not on that surface. All right, but if I turn this on, I can go circle, and see when I go over that surface, it detects it. If I go over, if I zoom, that surface, it detects it. So I can draw on that surface by just clicking on it. Okay. Now, it's not accurate because I don't know where I'm drawing this circle in relation to the corner of that wall, say there, then the bottom. I don't know where that's going. It's somewhere in there. But sometimes that doesn't matter. So you can actually use that facility if you want. So if I did that, and then I create a circle of any size, we've drawn on that surface now. So there's that circle on that surface. All right. Okay, so now what do we do with that? Okay, well, we can do a couple of things. We can maybe make a hole through that wall, right? Or I can do the hole in two ways. I can extrude that circle back this way as a solid cylinder, or an extrusion become a cylinder. Then I can subtract that circle or that cylinder out of the solid wall. Or I can use a brand new tool. Well, it's new. It's been around since 2007, and it's something you haven't learned in Extended CAD, for example. I can use the press pull tool, and I can go into here, and it will should detect that circle, and there you go. If I move my mouse through it like that, it doesn't matter how long. Say that much, it will actually do the subtraction and the cylinder all in one for you. All right. It does still retain that circle there, so I can actually hopefully click on there and move the circle out of the way, but I can't get it. Sometimes if you can't get things, selection cycling might help. So if I go here, it detects, oh, there's two things there. It says, what do you want to pick up? So I want the circle. So now I can pick up the circle and move it over here, but it hasn't moved my hole. The hole is still there. All right. So I can delete that if I don't want to keep it there. What is it? Solid face? What have we got here? I'll just turn off the that. Okay. Sometimes with the control key you can get to stuff internal. So, for example, I'm not sure if I got that then. Yes, I did. I can move that like that. So the way I grab that actual the hole that I created is by using the control key and just going over that. If I click on it, it gives me this control and I can actually move it. Right? So you can get into solids by using the control key. And Revit uses a similar idea to get into different elements of, for example, a truss. You can get the top and bottom chord by using the control key. So a lot of these tools are transferable to other software. I hope you guys can hear me back there, but I can't really shout anymore. You can come closer if you can't hear. I know those screens are not that good because they shield a lot of that as well. So, okay, so let's go with that. So that was the box command, press pull command, the Polysolid, the sweep will do that as well. So let's look at that. Let's make sure we've got enough time for that. We've got 1 minute. Okay, that's really good. That's not going to be any good. All right, let's go with the Polysolid is similar to what I just did then. That's probably the quickest. This is the guy here, Polysolid. And the way that works, you have to do some settings. So, for example, we can set the height, and you can click on there, or you can type H for height and enter. And remember, whenever you type something in, you've got to press enter. So let's make it 2700, enter. The width. Okay, the width of the wall we said is 300. We'll keep it the same as the other one. What else do we have? Justification, so it means when, okay, when I'm clicking, am I clicking the center of the wall or one edge? Let's go to the left edge, arrow for left, and I'll start doing this thing here. So as I'm drawing this, now if I stick ortho on, I'll be able to go at a certain direction. Again, like you draw in 2D, I'm going to type in 11,000, or 10,000 even, that way. 15,000 that way, press enter, and so on, and I can do some weird shape. And then I've got the option to close as well. So if I press close, it just joins it up, and that's my, my Polysolid. No big deal. It's just I could have done it, I suppose. Could have done a number of other ways as well. But anyhow, that's a Polysolid, and we're going to use a bit of that later on to do little architectural walls on top of the slab. Okay, so that's that. What else have we got? Sweep and loft we'll save for the next one. So I'll just stop this thing here now. And time flies, doesn't it? Stop that.